Wow, we have a really important class today. Dem Lovely Bones. I never read the book. I'm sure it was a great book and some of you did, but we're going to talk about our own lovely bones today. And what I'll suggest while I get you up to speed with some of the information you should know about bones, and before we get to I hope you all were able to find a broomstick, unscrew one, or whatever you can use, a dowel, or maybe you had to take your curtains down. This is key today for something I want to teach you. So while I'm chatting with you, can you go over to a wall? Because this is definitely one thing that I want you to have are the little tips and techniques. So we've done this before, where your heels are a couple of inches away from the wall. Just depends on your anatomy. But you want to get your bum, your shoulder blades, maybe the back of your head doesn't go up against the wall just yet, but it will eventually. Because one of the things we're dealing with is the hump. If you're developing one, we can stop that and change that. And then so you're standing here and just standing tall. And then after you feel you've got your alignment just right, just take a lovely little walk. In fact, I'm going to suggest that you try to put one foot in front of the other, because this is another technique. The thing about yoga that we're going to do today is not only the techniques that strengthen your bones, but balance is required. So you can see me right now. If you put one foot in front of the other, there's balance involved, and strong bones along with balance, body awareness, a level pelvis, and an uplifted trunk where we're not sinking into our hips. All of these things are what we need to maintain strong bones. Most of us know that once we become menopausal, and there's a lack of estrogen in women, that the bones start to get weaker. So calcium is not something that our bodies makes. We have to eat it. I know that lots of people think that dairy is the best source. It's one of them. It's sometimes not the best source. Some people are lactose intolerant. It can actually, if it's too acidic, it can leach bones of the calcium. In fact, if you don't eat enough calcium in your diet, your bones definitely will be compromised, because calcium is required for the blood circulation as well as muscle contraction. So it's important to get enough calcium in your diet. And one of the best sources for calcium and umpteen other nutrients are green leafy vegetables. All the stuff you think you don't want to eat, please figure it out. The kales, the Swiss chard, the brassica group, which is the broccoli, Brussels sprouts. I mentioned rapini last weekend. You know, so simple to make these things and make them tasty and healthy. So bones are living tissues. They store calcium and phosphorus. But as I said, if we don't get enough calcium, the blood will leach calcium out because it needs it for circulation and muscle movement, as I said. In order for calcium to be absorbed, we require vitamin D in our diet. Okay? So if you haven't gone back to the wall yet, or if you're still at the wall, I do want you to take that little bit of a walk, and I want you to put one foot in front of the other slowly. Okay? When one foot's in front of the other, it's a little harder to balance, but these are important things to help us reduce the risk of fracturing our bones from a fall. So a fracture is a crack. It could be a break. And of course, they most often happen in the wrist, the ankle, and the hips. So by doing yoga, we get all kinds of strengthening of all those bones and joints, all right? Because the tendons connect the muscles to the bones. So these things also need to be stretched. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge fan of yoga because of all the things that it does, which, you know, I'm sure some of you are going, okay, let's get on with the class, huh? But I just want to say something else that, you know, just to remind you that in the bones, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are made. So it's no small thing that we take care of our bones. And by the way, ellipticals, treadmills, walking, jogging if you still have it in you, but power walking because it's easier on your joints. We need to get cardio in too, but these things are all great for your bones, great for your heart. And then I'll mention a Harvard study a little later on. So here's where I want to start. And maybe I can just get tech guy here. I'm going to move up to the camera because we're going to use our polls next. But here's the deal, folks. I'm just showing you this picture. So this is just a sketch of a woman in downward facing dog. What I want you to notice here is how long and straight her back is. There's a tendency for us, if we can't get into the position, that we round our backs. And then I also wanted to show you, I had it set up here, Tadasana. Well, I might not be able to find, no. Anyway, if I can't find it quickly, and it looks like I can't, I ran out of clips. Okay, no, here we go. So we do that standing forward bend. And again, there's a slight rounding here, but basically today we're going to focus on alignment. Alignment, awareness, breathing, pelvic stability, and trunk, or what I want to call spinal control. Okay? So let's get started. Here is what I thought was an extraordinary opportunity to discover how we want our spines to align. So take your broomstick, all you good witches. Your bottom hand will be right where your lumbar is. And this is the area where a lot of people get into trouble with pain and discomfort in their lower back. And I'm going to show you something else that I did a whole this weekend symposium with some amazing health professionals. It was all around natural ways to deal with osteoporosis. So all natural, food, exercise, etc. So here we go. There's your lower hand right at your lumbar. The other hand is above your head. All right? So when you bend over, and I want you to hold the stick here, so that when you bend over, notice what happens. Your back doesn't round, but your knees bend and your hips bend, because now we do this when we're picking things up, right? So now, do you have something nearby? I want you to do this again. So if you're holding your stick, I hope you all could find something to use. And again, make sure your hand position. If it's uncomfortable one way with your arms due to some shoulder mobility, then try the other way. Do your other hand down below, because it's not about being uncomfortable here. All right? So, tech guy, your hand needs to be right at your lower lumbar, not at your bum. There you go. Big difference. Again, this is awareness, and top hand's over your head. Now, you're bending over to pick something up. Okay? Keep that broom the way it is. How are you going to bend over? You're going to bend your knees. Bend your knees. There's your knees. How about that? There you go. Feel that. Big difference here. Okay. Now, why don't you just put the stick down and imagine you're picking something up. Is that what you normally do when you're picking something up? I'm guessing maybe not. I'm guessing it's more like that. So look at the difference. So this is where we want to be today, is more like this. Now, if you need to do something really low, I'm not going to say don't get down on your knees. Get down on your knees and do it if you need to do it. But the wall, the stick, and I got one more for you. Oh, we're going to be using this stick too during class, so just keep it off to the side somewhere. Here's another test. This is a validated test. This is to test for lumbar compression. All right? Take your fingers, take 2 fingers, find your bottom rib, if you can. Find your bottom on your side, not in your front. Can you find your bottom rib? Haven't seen it lately? Did you leave it somewhere? Now, find the top of your hip bone, your pelvic hip bone. Can you find that? Okay, so now you want a minimum of 2 fingers between those spaces, 2, right? Now, ideally, 3 or 4. What you're discovering here, so you're at the bottom of your rib cage and the top of your hip, so I now have 4 fingers, is how much lumbar compression your body has undergone. So when I say lumbar compression, I mean from sinking into your hips. So, I often give that cue. Lift up out of your waist. Lift up out of your waist. Yeah. Did you just get 2 or 3 inches taller? And here's one last one, which is so, I'm not even sure how this works, but as I say, these people, this woman, the Meeks method is what she calls it. So she has a number of techniques, but we don't have all the props for that. Take your right hand, lightly place it towards the top, but more back of your head. So just light, very light. It's not resting on your head. It's just light on your head. All right. Now, inhale, press the soles of your feet into the floor. Inhaling, inhaling. On an exhale, really press your feet in and lengthen up and push your head into your hand. It's just a little thing. So is your hand on the back of your head, tech guy? It should be on the top of your head. Do you know where that? So the top back of your head. So it's the top back. And maybe some of you guys, maybe I didn't say it clearly enough. So it's just resting lightly like a feather. It's like a feather. All right. So one more time. You're standing in Tadasana. That means your feet are parallel to one another. So bring your toes closer together. Feet parallel means the outsides of your feet are parallel to the outsides of your mat. All right. Now, just your hand is ever so light. It's like a feather. You inhale. On an exhale, you lift up through the crown, pressing into your hand and press the soles of your feet in. And then lower your arm down. Okay, so we're just going to review standing posture, Tadasana. This is so important. Now, another tip. If you put your head forward, and I, tech guy, really want you to do this because you're one of these people with head forward. And I'm going to turn sideways here. When your head is forward, it's almost impossible to hold your core in and to honor your lower back. Not possible. So I don't know how many hours of the day, that we might spend with our head forward, holding the phone here, looking at the computer, the tablet here, doing the dishes. You can see the devolution of how we're going to end up. So your head, ears should be right over the center of your shoulders. And notice your head position affects your core. It really does. Turn your head forward again and notice how your abs just like it's almost impossible to make them firm, and for sure you've lost what is the integrity of that lumbar region that we were just working on. So your head position matters a lot more than I even recognized. Okay, so the ears right over the center of the shoulders. Good, we got that. And chin stays down. It doesn't tilt up. It stays level with the floor. Arms beside your body, relax your shoulders. Oh boy. Okay, now awareness again. Alignment important, awareness important. We're going to do some sideways bending. Now, if you can't maintain the length in your spine when you bend sideways, then you're just going to stay straight up and down. We've done this before. We're doing it with greater awareness. This is about spinal control, trunk control. Oh, and just one last thing. Regarding the pelvis, again, repeating myself, but as my older brother said, If you don't say something 5 times, don't be so sure anybody heard it. And I know from 20 years with my teacher, if he repeated something once, I heard it 200 times, I'm grateful. So you've got hip bones, front and back. Now, kind of put your fingers on those hip bones. So one of those, you know, that little concavity, some of us have dimples in the back, that would be one, this would be the other. They should be level. Sometimes we're walking like this, leaning forward, so the pelvic bowl is spilling out. Sometimes we're like that, and now we're spilling out the back. So pelvic stability is when the bowl is level, the pelvic bowl is level. And that's by getting these bones level. I mean, these are the mechanics of keeping your body in fine tune. Okay, let's bring our feet just a little bit closer together and still parallel. So we're going to inhale and reach the arms up overhead, interlock the fingers, and then release the pointers. So you have that church steeple kind of look, or 007, if you will. And then inhale, lift up out of your waist. There you go. You're lifting up out of your hips instead of sinking into them. And then inhale again up, exhale, sideways bend to the left. Keep the length, keep the length. Go very slowly. Keep that length. See, there's a tendency to go, eh. That creates compression in the lumbar. So inhale, let's come back up to center. Lifting out of the waist. It's not just the shoulders. You're lifting through the trunk. Exhale, slowly go sideways. When you go slowly, you'll notice that you're maintaining length, not compressing into your lumbar. Inhale, reaching up. Now, swan dive forward. Now, here's the other deal. Remember I just showed you that picture? If that doesn't feel like you can let your spine really be straight, I just want you to flatten it and come halfway over. All right, so you're in tabletop position. That works. It's all about getting the hips loose so that when we fold, and you know, it's funny, I know somebody who has a fused lower back, and this is how they can bend because there is no flexion anymore. So in a way, maybe it'd be great if we, well, I don't think we should be fused. All right, so you're keeping your back, your neck really straight. Now, you may be feeling this in your hamstrings, the backs of your legs, so you can bend your legs a little bit. And if you're working with a partner, if you're doing this with somebody, can they have a look at you and just give you some feedback about lengthening? So if you put a slight bend in your knees and you lengthen your spine and reaching with your arms, your fingertips are on the floor, your palms are facing one another. And then bend your knees a lot. And bring your torso close and just slowly roll up, keeping your chin tucked into your chest. One vertebra at a time. And then inhale, sweep the arms up once more. Lifting up out of your waist. Exhale, forward fold. No, so this is where I say lengthen the spine as you fold. Keep lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. You're folding from your hips. Some of you may have gone as far as you want to go or can go. So place your hands on your shins and tabletop your back. Or if you want to slide your fingers down, keeping your spine long, really long. Bending your knees if you need to. Lengthening your spine. If you can, bring your fingertips to the floor. Breathe. All right, bend your knees, bring your hands close to you and slowly roll up, one vertebra at a time. Exhale, roll your shoulders back. Okay, we're going to do half sun salutations because, again, we'll have the opportunity to really check in with a nice flat back when we are performing this. So I think I should do this sideways again. So if you need to have a look over, you can. So half sun salutations. Starting in Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, bend your knees, bend from your hips. Swan dive your torso towards your thighs. Notice your spine here. Can you keep it nice and straight? And then as you inhale, you're letting the crown of your head float down with your long, straight spine. And as you exhale, you're bending your knees again. You're coming into this lifting up position, if you will. If I were lifting, I actually brought a box with me so you're lengthening your spine from tailbone right out through the crown. And then you inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reach up and overhead. Exhale, float the arms down, turn the palms down, and bring your arms to your side. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead with the palms facing one another. Turn the palms out as you exhale. Bend your knees, keep your spine long. You're not rounding it. You're keeping it long. You're hinging from your hips, feeling your belly on your thighs. And maybe placing your fingertips on the floor. And actually, I should have said this ahead of time. If you have blocks, they would be super useful now to maintain that spine, or books or whatever you have that's next to you. If putting your fingertips on the floor and bending your knees a lot is too much for your knees, blocks would work nicely here. On an exhale, again, you can use your blocks. You're lengthening your spine a lot, letting your head hang. Exhale, bend your knees. Lengthen your spine. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, reaching. Exhale, float the arms down with your palms facing down, taking up lots of space. Inhale, sweep the arms up, palms face one another. Turn the palms out, exhale, float the arms down at the side, bend your knees, bending from your hips, lengthening your spine, fingertips either on the floor or on your blocks. And then inhale, lift your hips up, let your spine lengthen as it hangs in Uttanasana. Forward folding, exhale, bend your knees, lengthen your spine, bring your shoulders back. So really feel here, all of this is strengthening major bones of the body. Inhale, sweep the arms out, up and overhead, reaching up with your hands, lifting out of your hips and waist. Exhale, turn the palms out and float them down by your side. Let's do this one more time. I'll bet you're getting the hang of it, and you may be feeling this a little bit in your back, but if you haven't been honoring this area, those muscles are weak. You're going to feel it, no question about it. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Turn the palms out and float your arms down and bend your knees. Swan dive your torso onto your thighs, fingertips tented on the floor or on a cushion or blocks. And then inhale, Lift those hips up. Now, can you take hold of your elbows? So keep a soft bend in your knees here. Keep a soft bend. And as you inhale up through the soles of your feet and the backs of your legs, exhale down from your tailbone right out through the crown, letting and releasing the force of gravity plus poor posture. Release the compression of the vertebra on your gelatinous discs. And then inhale up the backs of your legs, giving your head a bit of a swing so you know you're not holding on. Exhale. Really let your spine release here. Let it lengthen naturally. And then release your hands and let them just hang. And then slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, stacking one on top of the other. Okay, so grab your broomstick, all you good witches. Strengthening postures look like walking a little bit, because when we walk, we have to transfer weight. So here's the deal. You can use your stick. Let's lift, I can do the mirror image. So your stick's in your left hand and you're lifting your left leg up first. So strengthening here, left or right hip, right leg bone, that femur. Now bones are strong, but they're actually light. So now maybe you can lift that stick off the floor or not. Some days balance is easy, some days not. In a study of 227 people, 202 of them were women at Harvard University. Let's change to the other leg. The average age was 68. 83% of them had low bone density. They practiced a series of yoga postures, weight-bearing postures, for 2 years, every second day. There was significant increase in bone density of the spine, not quite as much as the hips. I didn't get a chance to see the postures they were doing. My guess is that they probably did more for the spine than the hips, because there's no reason, if weight bearing and yoga works for the spine, it works for the hips too. So this is why, and then if you can lift a stick off the floor or not, doesn't matter, you're still now strengthening the bones. Your own weight is all you need to strengthen your bony structure, which, if you think of it as a house, it's protecting your valuables. Your rib cage is protecting your lungs and your heart. Your skull is protecting your brain. Okay, nice. And then, as I said, if you hadn't yet done this exercise of just putting one foot in front of the other, lifting off the floor, by the way, anybody with plantar fasciitis, coming up onto the balls of your feet, and you might need to, use your stick, is, according to one of the experts this weekend, said was really useful. So putting one foot in front of the other, it's as if you were walking a tightrope, really. So maybe we hold our stick. And this is really for balance more than bones. This is just checking in with our balance. So if you were to walk or just place one foot directly in front of the other, okay. So if you hate housework, you can use that for your yoga. All righty. So let's come down onto the mat. Now, if some of you have a belt or a strap or tie handy. I mean, I have one, but I didn't suggest anybody get one. Some of you won't need it. Come on down onto your backs. And just draw your knees in for a moment and give them a little hug. And just do a little rocking from side to side here. And when you're lying on your back, if you need a pillow under your head to be comfortable, please do that. Some of us will tilt our chin towards the notch in our neck because it lengthens the back of your neck to do that. Okay, extend your left leg down in front of you, and this is where you may want to use your strap around the instep and pull the leg towards you. So Padangustasana, mobilizing the hip, because it's not enough just to have strong bones. We want mobility in our joints. So as I said, the joints are the pivot mechanism for moving the bones, and the muscles are attached to your bones via ligaments and tendons. So it's an amazing structure. Now, whichever foot you have up first, if it's the right one, I want you to take that leg over to the right side. If you can, as far as you can, keeping the opposite hip flat on the floor. So you can place your other hand on that hip, opening the leg, holding on with your strap, or if you don't have a strap, then you're holding on with your hand or holding on to your pant leg. Blocks and a strap are kind of really, other than your mat, very useful accessories for practicing yoga. Inhale, bring that leg to center, and then change hands, holding on to the strap, and take the leg over to the other side. So last week, we were working on, in fact, it's funny, I almost forget what we were working on last week, but I know it was featuring the gluteus muscles, and the gluteus medius muscle, one of the most important for the hips. So the fact that I don't actually, I did remember yesterday and I don't remember today what it was. Oh, I know, we were working on our hips, for goodness sake. Happy hips. So the things we did last week were very helpful for the hip joint, strengthening the muscles that support the hip. Okay, bring that leg back to center, bend. As I said, if you do have the strap, then just change legs here, extending the opposite leg down in front, and then you're pulling the leg. So if you don't have a strap, grab somewhere between the ankle and the knee and pull towards you. Breathing. So it's alignment, awareness, breathing, pelvic stability, and trunk/spinal control. These are the things that we want to try to be aware of as much as possible. And now with the same hand as leg, so if it's the left leg, it'll be the left hand holding onto the strap or the leg, taking the leg out to the left side. So you're opening, and you're placing the other hand on top of your right hip. Your ACES joint will work, that bony protrusion, your anterior superior iliac spine, ACES joint. breathing. And remember, holding a posture for about 30 seconds was what they asked the participants in that Harvard study. 83% of them starting with low bone density, and then they did scans before and after, and it showed a remarkable improvement. Now, many of you have been with me for more than 2 years. I know we're only practicing, well, now you're getting 2 classes a week, but there's nothing from stopping you from doing other people's classes out there if you like, or doing a few things. But and I'm sure you're doing other forms of exercise. Bring that leg back up to center. Walking is still a great exercise. And then take the leg over to the opposite side. So now you have to change hands. And then, as I mentioned, walking, power walking, excellent, walking hills. And it does wonders for your mental state. I tend to work a lot. Well, who isn't working from home these days? If there is any work, but I'm always working on things. And I think I didn't get out of the house yesterday until, I think it wasn't before 9:30, I don't think. And I just went for a walk. I felt so much better. Even when it's cold, don't underestimate the power and the uplifting effect of taking yourself for a walk, not to mention strengthens your bones. All right, and then bring that leg back to center. And if you have a strap, remove it. And then keep that left leg bent flat on the floor. Bend the other leg, place that foot flat on the floor. Bring your arms beside your body, press your palms down, walk your heels a little bit closer towards your sits bones. And we're going to come into bridge pose. It's another posture that helps to strengthen and bring alignment into your spine. So spinal control featured in this exercise. Press the small of your back into the floor, peel your spine off the floor, and then lift your hips off the floor, activating, strengthening these long femur leg bones, pressing up, lifting up, breathing. Inhaling nice and deep. And deep, exhaling. One more inhale. That would be about 30 seconds. Exhale. So basically, when we start breathing consciously, we breathe about 6 times a minute, 6 to 8 times a minute. Slowly, one vertebra at a time, bringing your spine back down onto your floor. Now, the other reason that breathing is important when it comes to bones is that cortisol is a highly acidic hormone that flows through our bodies, but by breathing and calming down the nervous system, we can reduce the effects, the negative effects of cortisol, because acid, when there's too much acid in the body wants to practice homeostasis and bring things into balance. So to reduce the acid, we need more alkaline. And by taking the minerals out of the bones, we start to bring more the alkalinity to balance the acid. Well, if we didn't have the acid in the first place, we don't have to leach the bones and ask them to pony up with calcium and phosphorus and other minerals that will reduce or balance the acid content. Okay, so once again, press the small of your back into the floor, tilt your pelvis up, peel your spine off the floor, and slowly lifting up. Last week in class, I talked about the 5 places. I wrote an article on it. I'm going to write an article on some of what I'm talking about today. I think it's going to be more than one article. It's a lot of information. And you already know some of it, but it doesn't hurt to be affirmed if you know something that, yep, this is what I need to do. Or if you didn't know, okay, let's try to work with this. So breathing. Really important here to breathe deeply. Imagine there might be a balloon in your belly that you're blowing up when you breathe in. I almost don't have to imagine the balloon. I look at my stomach and it looks like a little balloon. Exhaling, one more inhale. And come on all the way down. That'll do. Draw the knees up into the chest. Now, plank position. That's that push-up position. And side plank. We did these last week. So if you missed last week's class, or consider doing these classes, more than once, because we did those postures last week. Those are terrific AAA ways to keep your bones strong. Okay, now straighten your legs, interlock your fingers and bring them behind the back of your neck. You're going to lower just your left leg down to the left side very slowly, very slowly. Keep your elbows on the floor. Inhale, slowly bring it back up. If you bring it up quickly, you don't get half the benefits. And then slowly lower the right leg down the floor. Now, if you point or flex the foot, it does activate a few more muscles. Not necessary. You may be experiencing enough without that. And then slowly bring it back. So we're strengthening the trunk, the core. I mean, without the muscles, we really are just a bag of bones. So pressing the small of the back down, slowly lower your left leg one more time down, keeping it as perpendicular to your body as possible. And just go as far as you can go. In fact, some people would suggest, if you know you're a bit delicate, then only go 75%. Don't go 100%. Slowly inhale back up. Osteopenia. Now, I was told, I don't know, quite a number of years ago, I had a test and they said that I was borderline or had it. I can't even remember. And then slowly lower the other leg down. Osteopenia, of course, it's not a precursor. It can be to osteoporosis, but it's not a death sentence. Although, as somebody said on the weekend, we all have a death sentence because we're all going to die. But just because we've been told we have osteopenia does not mean we're going to have osteoporosis. Inhale back up. The fact of the matter is, proper diet, weight-bearing exercises, decent sleep, monitoring your weight, definitely important. It puts a stress to be carrying extra weight around. You only have to carry a few bags of groceries up the street or up some stairs to know what that's all about. Okay, you're going to keep both legs together. They're both going to go over to the left. Only as far as you can go, and keep the opposite elbow on the floor. Now turn your head to the opposite side. Obviously, you're feeling your core engage. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, both legs, keep them glued together over to the other side. Turn your head to the opposite side. Major core strengthening. Back to the center. Can we try this one more time? Keep your feet together. Take both legs over to the left, head to the right. Breathe. Inhale, back to center. Exhale. Both legs over to the other side, head to the opposite side. And back to center. Yay! Okay, let's come into happy baby pose. So bend your legs, bring your ankles over your knees, although you may need to lower your feet to grab hold, take hold of your insteps from inside your legs. You could also apply a strap. Keep your knees outside of your torso. Have your ankles directly over your knees. This is where, if you can't grab your insteps, a belt can help. But it might even be better just to take hold of your ankles or your pants. But eventually, and again, you know, some people have longer legs, shorter arms. Some of us have shorter legs, longer arms, and everything varies. So don't judge. Just practice with awareness, respect, and compassion for where you are. Okay. And then extend the legs down in front and place your arms beside your body with your palms facing up in the open and receiving position. Bring your heels together, let your feet splay out, tuck your shoulder blades under your chest, reach your fingertips towards the bottom of your mat, tilt your chin towards the notch in your throat, and now let everything go. Fully, totally relaxed, letting go, allowing the benefits of what you have just done to be uploaded and integrated, and to gather energy, because we will be doing some standing postures next. So you're going to need your life force and energy to do these with integrity, with proper alignment, to help strengthen your bones. Now, bone broth. Look, I'm a vegetarian. I eat a little bit of fish, but I don't eat any flesh. You can buy it. That is supposed to be one of the top rated foods to strengthen bones. It would make sense. Bone broth, hello. If you're making your own, she recommended, the gal said, put in a little tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, just a bit, depending on how much you're making, because that will help get the minerals out of the bones that you're boiling. It will help draw those minerals out so that when you eat that bone broth, you're getting more minerals. I hope that made sense. Okay, so place your hands underneath the backs of your knees and rock up. Come on over onto all fours. Curl your toes under, roll back onto the soles of your feet. Let your head hang and slowly roll up. One vertebra at a time. Let your head be the last thing to come up. Okay, so coming up to the fronts of your mats, we're just going to do a little vinyasa here of horseman's pose, or as I like to call it, my teeth brushing pose. I mean, this is a total habit for me now. I don't even have to think about it. In fact, if I start doing this, it's like right away I'm like, no, gonna do this. And that's how I brush my teeth. So horseman's pose, Utkatasana, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so bring your feet close together. Remember, the outside of your feet are parallel with the outsides of your mat. And then as you pretend you are sitting in a chair, because it's also called chair pose, inhale and raise your arms up to shoulder height, maybe even higher. Look down. You want to see your toes in front of your knees, so the weight is in your heels. Exhale, forward fold. Lengthen your spine. So keep your knees bent. Take your left foot back about 3.5 feet. Turn that left foot about 30 degrees forward. Your front foot will be 90 degrees forward. You want the heel of your front foot to create a straight line through the arch of your back foot. Now, windmill, your left arm up. Come on into warrior two. Now, here's a tendency to sink into our hips. Don't do it. Lift up out of your hips. Feel that lift, okay? So remember, every time you either stretch or extend, bend, or twist, we want to lift and lengthen the spine. Don't let everything just sink. Okay, so lengthening through your spine. Imagine a plumb line right through the center of your head, coming down through the center of your body. Okay, bring that front right forearm onto your front thigh. Take your back arm down in front of you, around, and then bring it over your ear into side angle bend, Parsvakonasana. Again, stretch with that top arm. This lengthens your spine, strengthens your bones. And on an inhale, I'd like you to straighten your front leg, bring your top arm straight up, and straighten your bottom arm, coming into Trikonasana. Reaching up with that top arm. And then come back into Parsvakonasana, side angle bend. So you're reaching that top arm over your ear, blossoming your heart sideways, or your chest. And then inhale, bringing the torso back into the center, lifting the arms up, coming back into warrior two. Okay, lower your arms, step that back leg forward, come back into Tadasana, and we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to change mats just so if you're looking, hopefully I am giving you enough instruction that you don't have to look. So again, we're starting in Tadasana. Remember, head position, ear over the center of the shoulder. Automatically, it engages your core. Pelvic stability, so your bowl is not spilling any of its contents out. And then, as if you were sitting in a chair, bend your legs, take your hips back, look down, see your toes in front of your knees, coming into Utkatasana, chair pose. Feel the strengthening. Remember, these glute muscles, they are supporting your hip joint, which you are also strengthening. Now exhale and forward fold. Keep a bend in your knees here. Lengthen your spine. Step your right foot back about 3.5 feet. Make sure that your front foot is 90 degrees forward, your back foot about 30 degrees forward, and there's a straight line between the heel and the arch of your back foot. Now you're going to windmill your right arm up, over, around, coming into warrior two. So your torso is orientated towards the side of your mat, but your arms, of course, are front and back. And you can have a look sometimes just to balance your arms. And then lift up out of your waist and lower your shoulders and lengthen your neck. And you know what? We didn't on the other side, but let's add a peaceful warrior. So lower your back arm down your back leg, reach your top arm up, stretching up, looking up. Here again, you can feel the lift out of your waist, and then hinge Coming back into warrior two, transitioning now into side angle bend, Parsvottanasana. Bring that left forearm onto your left front thigh. Take your back arm down, around, over your ear. Blossom your chest out to the side and reach with that top arm. Stretching, reaching that arm, whatever compression you may have had. And it's interesting too, because one of the women said that test we did for the lumbar compression, she said from the beginning of the class to the end of the class, women had released the compression in their lumbar region just by paying attention to this lengthening. Okay, and then let's straighten that front leg, lift your top arm straight up, straighten your bottom arm, coming into triangle pose, Trikonasana. And again, energy goes up, reach up, stretch up. Okay, bend. And then inhale, come back into warrior two. And straighten your front leg. Turn your feet so that they're pointing to the side. Exhale halfway. Again, we're going to tabletop the back. Tent the fingers on the floor below your face. On an inhale, sweep your left arm up, reaching up, stretching up, looking up. Don't go any further than you feel is appropriate for you this morning. Exhale, the hand down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reaching up, stretching up, and looking up. So the twisting done properly also releases the compression of the spine from sitting a lot, especially if you don't have great posture. And then let's lunge over to the left side, bringing bum as close to heel as possible. Nice little release for your lower back. Inhaling up, bend over to the other side. Up into the center, walk your feet in together, and then bring your body into Shavasana. Please don't miss out on this. And if you have blocks, just a reminder, this feels so lovely on your lower back. Place your sits bones, place your blocks right up against your cheek butts, right at the bottom, at the top of your thigh, where your thigh meets your butt. And just rest them over that. Turn your palms up in the open and receiving position. Close your eyes. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. You might even part your lips just a little bit. And then let your body be soft and heavy. And I wanted to offer you one other little tip, something that I would just call like everyday yoga. Now, a lot of us live in the beach area, but even all over the city, there are plenty of benches around. This time of year, they're not as occupied as they would be in the summertime. So I was out cross-country skiing the other night, and I stopped at one of the benches in Ashbridges Bay. And it was a particularly, well, the moon is just small now. It's not even out until early morning. So the sky was so bright. And I sat on that bench and I spread my arms, while I still had my poles, over the back of the bench. And I looked up at the stars and I realized, because we spend, and especially if you're a skier, cross country, alpine skiing, everything's about forward flexion. Everything's about bringing those shoulders forward. Doesn't matter if you don't do either of those things. You're washing dishes, you're picking stuff up, you're writing, you're typing and tapping, and everything's forward. we need to counteract that by opening up and just by sitting on a park bench. You know, if it's late at night looking up, or even if it's just a nice day and you look up, this is so therapeutic for opening up. The front vertebra, you know, we think about the spine as just being the back. Think about it as the front too. If we're hunched over like this all day, then it'd be pretty easy to get herniated discs anywhere, not to mention what it's doing to your digestive organs and glands. So next time you see a park bench, think about it. Just put your arms out. You know what? And if you're with somebody, it's like, gosh, you put your arm behind them and you bend your arms and give their shoulders a little love tap. So there was a lot of information today and some, I hope, useful tips for you to honor, take care of your body so you can live, love longer and stronger. Have a great day. Namaste.